Friends, welcome to this eighth series of our reflection. We are continuing with our small retreat to prepare ourselves for the Easter. Uh, in this series, we are going to talk about the 10th station. The 10th station, Jesus is stripped of his clothes. And we are going to talk about providence. Now, back to our text, Matthew chapter 4, verse 18 to 22. On verse 20, we read, and I quote, "Immediately they left the nets and followed him. Immediately they left the nets and followed him." It should be noted that the nets and the boat helped these fishermen find what to eat and survive on in life. They left all this, putting their lives somehow in danger of survival. At the call of Matthew, or Levi, as we read it in Luke chapter 5, verse 27 to 32, we see how Levi left his place of work and he was a tax collector. That is to say, the place which ensured his daily bread. He left it to follow Jesus. He will go even further by offering a big feast in his home, in his house. This is somehow to say that he's going to empty his food store, because offering a feast, he even never planned. He never planned for it, so he did not have extra for that feast. So he went to empty that which he had and supply food, uh, and so to follow Jesus, to offload himself, which means he wanted to take a new path. Uh, this is what we call self-emptying, that also Jesus did on the cross. In fact, the disciples trusted in the divine providence. But it's a cross to carry. It's not easy. The way I'm speaking of it, doing it is not easy. And so it is a cross to carry. This business of divine providence is possible to experience, but it comes with great challenges. It's not easy, but it is possible, but it comes with great challenges. That is why we have to pray for the daily bread as Jesus taught us. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9 to 13. Therefore, it needs prayer. And let us remember that these are the same disciples who will later discuss the lack of bread. That's why I was saying it's not easy, my friend. We read that in Mark chapter 8, verse 14 to 21. And even after the death and resurrection of Jesus, some of them will return to the lake to catch fish. John chapter 21, verse 3. On the cross, Jesus responds to his Father's call to save the world by being naked. He placed himself completely in the providential hands of his Father. See the stripping of Job. Job also made himself naked. Job chapter 1, verse 20 to 21. On the contrary, Adam, naked by his disobedience to the Lord in the Garden of Eden, will hide from the divine providence. Genesis chapter 3, verse 10 to 11. He who had his clothes white, Matthew chapter 17, verse 1 to 9, Jesus now shares with the soldiers the same clothes made red by his blood. John chapter 19, verse 23. Divine providence is seen when God restores man broken down by sin. It is about man giving himself fully. Moreover, Jesus came to give life in abundance. John chapter 10, verse 10. In so doing, He brought us the communion with the Father and the Holy Spirit. Therefore, his life giving brought us this communion, full communion with God the Father and the Holy Spirit. The 11th and 12th station, Jesus is nailed and dies on the cross. Here we are going to meditate on communion or prayer. Let us go back to our text again. Matthew chapter 4, verse 18 to 22. From verse 21 we read, and I quote, "From there having gone farther." From there having gone farther. Why did Jesus call his disciples and continues to call again his disciples even to our day? He has called you, he has called me, and he will continue calling others after us. It should have been limited to the call of Simon and Andrew, and that's all. Besides, he's more powerful. He could invest his powers just in the two disciples. Why was he going further? To look forward. Yes, we can say that he wanted to complete Israel, for he came to renew Israel, to have a new Israel, respecting the number 12, as the tribes of Israel were 12. That is true, okay. But he decides to move a little further. We normally talk of the deceased brothers and sisters as to have gone. This gone farther of Jesus Christ finds its fulfillment through his death on the cross. He has gone farther. By his death on the cross, he moved farther away. He went farther to seek other souls in hell. As we profess in the creed, the symbol of the apostles, he went down to look for more souls. Even on the cross, he goes further to call one of the criminals crucified with him. And I quote, "I tell you the truth, today you will be with me in paradise." Luke chapter 23, verse 43. Jesus accepts and does this so that you, others, and I can have life in fullness within communion of God. It is a great sign of love, as we read in Romans chapter 13, verse 10. Hence, we enter into communion with God the Father through Jesus Christ, his only Son, and in the Holy Spirit. We must therefore let the sin in us die in order to be worthy of entering into communion with God. There are certain bad habits that are in us and are very difficult to leave us, and we are very much attached to them. Leaving them means sadness in our lives. It hurts even us as if we were physically dying. We therefore need a deepened life of prayer. As Jesus cried on the cross, and I quote, "Father, I commit my spirit into your hands." A wonderful prayer. Luke chapter 23, verse 46. We must put our spirits into the hands of God, even if it means through crying out loudly, like Jesus did. Prayer is food that grows our communion with God. We must pray without ceasing at all times. Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 to 11. Jesus himself remained in communion with his Father through prayer. He even taught his disciples and taught us also how to pray, even in secret. Remember the Gospel of Ash Wednesday, the Spirit of Lent, prayer in secret, so as to remain in communion with God. Matthew chapter 6, verse 5 to 13. We read that on Ash Wednesday. The fruit of this communion, fueled by prayer, is service. And that will be the theme of our next series. Thank you very much and be blessed.